The cemetery was silent, except for the sound of the wind. A man in a black suit stood before a weathered gravestone, holding a bouquet of fresh white lilies. He came every year. Never early, never late, always on the same day. He gently brushed away the fallen leaves covering the engraved name. Chloe Morgan, 26 years old. Gone far too soon. Chen Yu stared at the photograph carved into the stone. Time had changed everything about him, except the way he looked at her.
I never knew. Just one more chance, please.
I finally convinced my father, he whispered with a bitter smile. He said yes. His voice cracked. It only took him 3 years. He let out a quiet laugh that sounded more like defeat. You would have teased me for taking so long. His fingers tightened around a small velvet box inside his coat pocket. The engagement ring had never left him. Not once. I kept thinking, if I could just buy us a little more time, I'd come back. But time ran out before I did. He knelt and placed the lilies in front of her gravestone. I broke your heart trying to protect our future. And all it did was make sure you weren't there when I finally came back. A tear slid down his face. I'm sorry, Chloe. I was too late. A few feet away. Someone else was crying. I was wrong. Chloe reached for him. Her trembling fingers passed straight through his shoulder. She had tried to touch him every year. Every year she forgot. She wasn't alive anymore. For 3 years, she had wandered this cemetery, watching the only man she thought had betrayed her refuse to move on. She had watched him reject every blind date, decline every proposal his father arranged. She had watched him spend birthdays alone, Christmases alone, anniversaries alone. He had never stopped loving her. The man she hated most had loved her until the very end. I didn't know. Her voice broke. I didn't know. She collapsed beside her own grave, sobbing harder than she had on the day she died. Behind her tears flashed the memories she wished she could erase. Rachel's comforting embrace after the breakup. Olivia insisting she deserved someone better. The endless cups of tea her stepsister lovingly prepared. The homemade soup whenever she felt weak. The dizziness. The exhaustion. The doctors saying they couldn't explain why her health kept declining. Then, the rain. Screeching tires. A blinding flash of headlights. And darkness. She had spent 3 years believing fate had taken her too soon. Instead, the people she trusted most had slowly stolen her life long before that rainy night. She looked toward the heavens. If anyone can hear me, I don't want revenge anymore. She looked back at Chen Yu. I just want one more chance. One chance to love him the right way. A sudden gust of wind swept through the cemetery. The lilies scattered. The sky turned brilliantly white. Everything disappeared. Chloe. Someone was pounding on a bedroom door. Chloe, please open the door. Another familiar voice followed. Don't cry because of a man who doesn't deserve you. Rachel. Then Olivia. Chloe's eyes flew open. Her heart stopped. No, not again. She stared at the ceiling. The room. The curtains. The framed photos. Her bedroom. Slowly, she reached for the calendar on the bedside table. Her breath caught. 3 days after the breakup. Exactly 2 months before the day she died. Outside, Rachel knocked again. Please eat something. Olivia added gently. We made your favorite breakfast. Chloe slowly sat up. For a long moment, she simply smiled. Not from happiness, but because this time, she knew exactly who was standing outside her door. Chloe remained seated on the edge of her bed for several seconds, forcing herself to breathe. She had imagined this moment 1,000 times while wandering the world as a restless spirit. But now that it had happened, nothing felt real. The voices outside her bedroom door sounded exactly the same as they had 3 years ago. Even Rachel's fake concern hadn't changed. Chloe, Rachel called softly. Please open the door. We're worried about you. Olivia sighed dramatically. I knew that man would hurt you. I just didn't think he'd break your heart this badly. In her first life, those words had comforted her. She had cried in their arms. She had believed every lie they whispered about Chen Yu. This time, every word sounded rehearsed. Chloe stood, walked to the mirror, and stared at her reflection. 26 years old. Healthy. Alive. She gently touched her own face. I won't die again, she whispered. And I won't lose him again. She unlocked the bedroom door. Rachel immediately wrapped her in a hug. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Chloe smiled faintly. So am I. Rachel pulled back, surprised. You are. For believing I should give up so easily. Rachel's smile stiffened. Olivia quickly stepped in. Chloe, sweetheart, some relationships aren't meant to last. Exactly, Rachel added. If he truly loved you, he would have fought for you. Chloe looked from one woman to the other. For a brief second, she almost forgot to pretend. She wanted to scream. She wanted to ask how they could comfort her while planning her death. Instead, she smiled. You've both done so much for me. The two women relaxed. I'm lucky to have you. Neither of them noticed the coldness hidden behind her grateful eyes. Breakfast was already waiting downstairs. Fresh pancakes, fruit, orange juice, and the herbal tea Olivia always insisted helped Chloe feel stronger. Her fingers tightened around the warm cup. She remembered drinking it almost every morning. She remembered feeling weaker with every passing week. This time, she raised the cup to her lips, pretended to take a sip, then quietly placed it back on the table. Not hungry? Olivia asked. I'll drink it later, Chloe replied with a smile. Don't let it get cold. I won't. Half an hour later, Chloe left the house. Rachel hurried after her. Wait, where are you going? Chloe adjusted her handbag and smiled. To get my man back. Rachel blinked. What? I've cried for 3 days. I think that's enough. But he dumped you. So, Rachel forced a laugh. You can't just chase a man who doesn't want you. Chloe tilted her head. Watch me. Without waiting for another response, she climbed into her car and drove away. Rachel stood frozen on the sidewalk. Something felt different. The Chen Group headquarters towered over the city skyline. The receptionist looked up in surprise. Miss Morgan, I'm here to see Chen Yu. I'm sorry, Mr. Chen isn't seeing visitors today. I'll wait. She sat quietly in the lobby. 5 minutes. 10. 30. Employees walked past, whispering. Everyone knew about the breakup. Some pitied her. Others assumed she couldn't let go. Chloe didn't care. She had waited 3 years to see him again. 30 minutes was nothing. On the top floor, Chen Yu looked down through the glass wall overlooking the lobby. There she was, still waiting. His assistant hesitated. Sir, should I ask security to escort Miss Morgan out? Chen Yu remained silent. His fingers tightened around the pen in his hand. 3 days. Only 3 days. He had expected tears, angry messages, accusations. Instead, she had simply shown up. Sir, he sighed. Bring her up. The elevator doors opened. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Chen Yu looked exactly as she remembered. The same calm eyes. The same tired expression. Only now, she noticed the pain hidden behind them. Pain she had been too heartbroken to see before. He gestured toward the chair. You shouldn't be here. I know. Then why are you here? Chloe smiled softly. Because I miss you. His heartbeat stumbled. He looked away. Chloe, I meant what I said 3 days ago. We're over. She slowly walked closer until only a step separated them. Look at me. He didn't. Chen Yu. He finally raised his eyes. For the first time since the breakup, she wasn't crying. She wasn't angry. She simply looked at him with quiet certainty. I love you. He closed his eyes. Please don't make this harder. I can't. She smiled sadly. Because I'm not giving up. She reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. I don't care how long it takes. I'm getting my man back. For the first time in 3 days, the walls around Chen Yu cracked. Just a little. Chen Yu slowly withdrew his hand. Not because he wanted to. Because if he held on to hers for one more second, he knew he would lose the strength to let her go. Chloe. His voice was almost a whisper. You don't understand. She smiled to herself. I understand more than you think. I don't need to understand everything, she said gently. I just need to know one thing. He looked at her. Do you still love me? Silence. His answer never came, but his eyes did. For someone who had spent years watching him grieve from the other side of life. That was enough. She smiled. I'll take that as a yes. He sighed in defeat. You always were stubborn. You used to love that about me. I still do. The words escaped before he could stop them. Both of them froze. Chen Yu looked away first. I shouldn't have said that. But you did. A small smile tugged at Chloe's lips. And now I know I'm not fighting alone. From that day forward, Chloe became an unexpected part of Chen Yu's routine again. Every morning, she brought him coffee. Some days he accepted it. Some days he insisted she take it back. She simply laughed. I'll try again tomorrow. And she always did. She texted him good morning. She texted him good night. She never pressured him to explain the breakup. Never demanded promises. She simply reminded him. She was still there. Little by little, his resistance became weaker. Meanwhile, back at the Morgan residence, Olivia couldn't hide her irritation anymore. I thought you said she was devastated. Rachel frowned. She was. Then why is she smiling all the time? I don't know. Olivia folded her arms. And why does she keep leaving the house? Rachel's expression darkened. I'll find out. Neither woman noticed Chloe standing quietly at the top of the staircase. She had heard every word. She smiled to herself before walking downstairs. Talking about me? Rachel immediately forced a cheerful smile. We were just worried. I know. Chloe hugged both of them. So sweet. For a brief moment, Rachel felt strangely uncomfortable. The next morning, Olivia prepared breakfast herself. I made your favorite blueberry pancakes. They smell amazing. And don't forget your tea. Of course. Chloe carried everything to the dining table. She chatted happily while cutting tiny pieces of pancake. She even lifted the teacup toward her lips. Olivia watched closely. Rachel smiled. Neither of them noticed Chloe quietly slipping the untouched tea into a small insulated bottle hidden inside her handbag when they looked away. It was the fourth sample. The family doctor already had 3 others. If the laboratory results matched, they would finally have proof. That afternoon, Chloe drove to a quiet private clinic. Dr. Harrison greeted her with a worried smile. The latest samples came back. He placed several reports on the desk. Her heart pounded. The poison concentration is consistent. He looked up. Someone has been trying to make you sick over a long period. Even though she already knew, hearing the words still made her chest tighten. So I wasn't imagining it. No. Dr. Harrison shook his head. You would have become seriously ill if you had continued eating those meals. Chloe stared silently at the reports. She remembered how weak she'd become in her first life. How everyone had believed her body was simply failing. How she'd blamed herself for being fragile. The tears threatened to fall. Instead, she smiled. Can we start preparing the fake reports? The doctor hesitated. You're certain? If they think I'm getting better, they'll stop making mistakes. She met his eyes. I need them to believe I'm dying. Across the city, Chen Yu sat alone in his office. His assistant walked in carrying a folder. Sir, the chairman scheduled another dinner tomorrow. Chen Yu didn't even look up. Another blind date? I'm afraid so. He closed the file he had been pretending to read. I'm not going. The chairman said attendance is mandatory. For a long moment, Chen Yu said nothing. Then his phone buzzed. A message from Chloe. Have dinner with me instead. Smiling face with smiling eyes. He couldn't help it. He smiled. His assistant blinked. It was the first genuine smile he'd seen since the breakup. Cancel tomorrow's dinner, Chen Yu said calmly. But sir, I said cancel it. That evening, they met at a quiet restaurant overlooking the river. For the first time in days. It almost felt normal. They laughed, shared dessert, talked about everything except the breakup. When Chen Yu walked her to her car, neither of them wanted the night to end. Thank you, Chloe said softly. For what? For having dinner with me. He smiled. I've missed this. So have I. He reached toward her, then stopped himself. His hand fell back to his side. Good night, Chloe. As he drove away, neither of them noticed a woman sitting inside a parked car across the street. Rachel lowered her camera. Several photos of Chloe and Chen Yu filled her screen. Her smile slowly disappeared. So, she whispered, you got him back. She picked up her phone. It's time to move the plan forward. Rachel barely slept that night. She stared at the photographs over and over again. Chloe laughing. Chen Yu smiling. The two of them sharing dessert. Holding each other's gaze. That wasn't supposed to happen. 3 days after the breakup, Chloe had been too heartbroken to leave her room. Now, she was stealing Chen Yu back. Rachel clenched her fists. No, she whispered. I'm not losing him again. The next morning, Olivia walked into Rachel's room. Did you tell Mr. Chen? Rachel held up the photographs. I don't have to. She smiled slowly. These will. By noon, the pictures were sitting on Mr. Chen's desk. His expression darkened with every photograph. So, he murmured, my son lied to me. Less than an hour later, Chen Yu was summoned to the chairman's office. The atmosphere was colder than usual. Mr. Chen threw the photographs onto the desk. I thought you ended the relationship. I did. Then explain these. Chen Yu remained calm. We had dinner. You call this dinner? Mr. Chen pointed at one photo where Chloe was laughing while looking at Chen Yu. You look happier here than you have in months. Chen Yu looked at the pictures. A faint smile almost escaped him. I was. His father slammed his hand on the desk. You are throwing your future away. I'm choosing the woman I love. The woman who may not even live another year? Chen Yu's jaw tightened. Don't. I'm stating facts. The reports say she's getting worse. If you marry her, you'll spend your life watching her die. Silence. Then Chen Yu spoke quietly. I'd rather spend 1 year with her than 50 years with someone I don't love. For the first time, his father had no answer. That evening, Chen Yu sat alone in his apartment. He stared at an old photograph of Chloe tucked inside a book. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. When he opened the door, Chloe stood there holding 2 takeout bags. I brought dinner. He smiled helplessly. Do you ever give up? No. She walked inside as though she'd never left his life. I already told you. I'm getting my man back. He laughed. Actually laughed. You really mean it? I do. They ate on the balcony overlooking the city. For a while, neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was peaceful. Finally, Chen Yu broke it. My father knows we're seeing each other again. I figured. He'll keep trying to separate us. I figured that too. He looked at her. You're taking this surprisingly well. She smiled into her cup of tea. I've learned that running away solves nothing. He watched her carefully. Sometimes, she said things that made her seem older than 26. Wiser. As though she'd lived an entirely different life. Can I ask you something? She nodded. Why did you come back? You should hate me. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she answered honestly. Just not completely. I realized love isn't something you throw away without hearing the whole story. His heart ached. If only she'd known how many times he'd tried to call after the breakup. How many messages he'd written but never sent. How many nights he'd stood outside her house before driving away again. I owe you the truth, he said quietly. She turned toward him. 3 years. She had waited 3 years to hear these words. My father never approved of us. I know. He looked surprised. I guessed. He nodded slowly. At first, he tolerated it because he thought I'd eventually come to my senses. But then, he looked away. Someone told him your health was getting worse. Chloe remained silent. He hired specialists. They all believed you were seriously ill. He told me. Chen Yu swallowed hard. That marrying you would only end in heartbreak. He started arranging meetings with women from powerful families. When I refused, he removed me from major company decisions. He made it clear that as long as I stayed with you, he would never accept us. Chloe listened quietly. I thought, if I ended things for a while, I could calm him down. I planned to convince him after everything's settled. He laughed bitterly. I even bought a ring. I was just waiting for the right time. His eyes filled with regret. But I waited too long. Chloe felt tears burning behind her eyes. She wanted to tell him, you did come back. You came back every year. Instead, she reached across the table and held his hand. You don't have to wait anymore. He looked at her. What? She smiled. This time, I'm not going anywhere. The following morning, Dr. Harrison called. The forged medical reports are finished. Everything appears consistent with a patient whose condition is slowly worsening. Perfect. And the toxicology reports. They're conclusive. The poison has been identified. Chloe closed her eyes. It was finally time. The trap was ready. Now, all she had to do was let the villains believe they were winning. Over the next 2 weeks, nothing changed. At least, that's what Olivia and Rachel believed. Every morning, Chloe accepted breakfast with a grateful smile. Every afternoon, she attended another medical appointment. Every evening, the latest report showed the same heartbreaking conclusion. Her condition was getting worse. Rachel couldn't hide her satisfaction anymore. It won't be long now, she whispered one afternoon. Olivia smiled. Everything is finally falling into place. Neither of them realized Chloe had heard every word from the hallway. She simply walked past them with a cheerful smile. I'm going out for a while. To see Chen Yu? Rachel asked. Chloe grinned. Where else? Rachel forced herself to smile back. Have fun. The moment Chloe left, Rachel's expression turned cold. We have to finish this. Olivia nodded. before she tells him anything. That evening, Chloe and Chen Yu sat beneath the city lights. "I have something to show you," she said. She handed him a thick envelope. He frowned. "What is this?" "My real medical records." He slowly opened the file. Page after page. Every report told the same story. Healthy. No terminal illness. No incurable disease. Then he reached the laboratory analysis. His face lost all color. Toxic substances. He looked up. "They've been poisoning me." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, everything made sense. The exhaustion. The fainting. The mysterious illness. His father's fear. The breakup. All of it had been built on a lie. Tears filled Chen Yu's eyes. "I left you because I believed I was protecting both of us." "I know. You knew." Chloe nodded gently. "I know enough." She couldn't tell him everything. She never would. Instead, she squeezed his hand. "What matters now is that we're out of time." The following morning, Rachel arrived carrying Chloe's favorite strawberry cake. "I made it just for you." Chloe smiled brightly. "You shouldn't have." Rachel watched carefully as Chloe took a small bite. "Is it good?" "It's delicious." Rachel smiled. "Perfect." Everything was going according to plan. She had no idea Chloe had quietly switched the slice with an identical one prepared by Dr. Harrison before Rachel entered the room. 3 nights later, the plan reached its final stage. Just like the first timeline, Olivia insisted Chloe shouldn't drive herself home after dinner. "It's raining. I'll call you a driver." Chloe smiled. "No need. I already have one." A black sedan pulled into the driveway. Chen Yu stepped out. Rachel's smile disappeared. "What is he doing here?" "He came to pick me up." Olivia forced a laugh. "How romantic." None of them noticed the unmarked police vehicles parked farther down the street. As Chloe reached the front gate, she stopped walking. Slowly, she turned around. "I've been wondering something." Rachel's smile faltered. "Wondering what? When exactly did you two decide to kill me?" Silence. Olivia laughed nervously. "Chloe, what are you talking about?" Chloe looked at Rachel. "Was it before or after you lied to Mr. Chen about my health?" Rachel's face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "No." Chloe reached into her handbag. One by one, she placed documents on the garden table. Laboratory reports, food samples, medical records, photos, audio transcripts. Then, one final envelope. "The police have copies of everything." Rachel took a step backward. Olivia's hands began to shake. "You poisoned me. You forged concern while feeding me poison. You convinced everyone I was dying. You wanted my inheritance." She looked at Rachel. "And you still couldn't make Chen Yu love you." Rachel finally snapped. "He was supposed to move on." She screamed. "If you disappeared, he would have needed someone. I loved him. You had everything. The money, the family. Him. You didn't deserve any of it." The words echoed through the garden. Rachel froze. She had said too much. Police officers stepped forward from every direction. One officer calmly held up a recorder. "Thank you. That confession will be very helpful." Rachel's knees gave way. Olivia burst into tears. "It's over," she whispered. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this." As officers led them away in handcuffs, Chloe watched silently. She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. Justice, somehow, felt quieter than revenge. Several weeks later, Mr. Chen visited the Morgan estate. For the first time, he bowed his head to Chloe. "I owe you an apology. I judged you because of your background. I believed lies about your health. And because of my pride, I almost destroyed my son's happiness." Chloe smiled gently. "Thank you for telling me." He looked at Chen Yu. "If you'll both forgive an old man, I'd like to welcome you into our family." Chen Yu looked at Chloe. She nodded. The past had taken enough from all of them. There was no reason to carry its bitterness into the future. 6 months later, Chen Yu drove to a quiet hill overlooking the city. "This place is beautiful," Chloe said. "It reminds me that tomorrow isn't promised." He reached into his jacket, not to take out flowers. This time, he took out the velvet box he had carried for years. He knelt before her. "I spent too long believing there would always be another chance. There isn't. So I'm asking now. Chloe Morgan, will you marry me?" Tears blurred her vision. This lifetime, she wasn't standing beside a gravestone. She wasn't reaching for someone she couldn't touch. She was alive. And so was he. She laughed through her tears. "Yes. 1,000 times yes. As he slipped the ring onto her finger, the wind carried away the last echoes of a life that would never happen again. This time, love arrived before regret. And this time, Chloe Morgan lived happily ever after. The end.